Anxiety makes me plan for really random scenarios. For example, I have a fear of dying alone, so now I have a plan for how I'm gonna take down everyone with me.
Okay, so that was me 1 month ago, but let's dial back a little further. Towards the end of 2021, I was having a lot of difficulty trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do with my life. At some point, I said, I like drawing things. Maybe I can go to art school, because why not? I'll make new friends, I'll learn new skills, and maybe I'll feel a little better about the direction in my life. So I applied, and I got rejected. My grades were not high enough for admission, and even if they were, I didn't qualify for student loans. So now what? Do I curl up and cry? Do I invade Poland? No! I decided to become a stand-up comic because, really, what I enjoy most is entertaining people. I signed up for a comedy course. I did 2 shows. I got very positive feedback for both of them. And then I haven't written a joke since. Not any good ones, anyway. So what's going on? This isn't a new problem for me. I have abandoned many projects in my life, like writing my novel, or learning piano, or this channel. And there's the usual suspects. Depression, my ADHD, I feel too tired, or I don't have enough time, so on and so forth. And those are all completely valid things. But the more I thought about it, the more I began to feel that something was just off. My therapist asked me, Lauren, what do you think you're afraid of? And I was like, I'm not afraid. The only things that scare me are wendigos and the dark unknown of the sea. Well, it turns out there was something I was afraid of. I'm afraid that people won't like my art. The novel, the drawings, the comedy, the channel. I am a deeply creative person, but I'm also deeply scared. Scared that no one will like what I create, or even worse, that they won't care. So, if I don't make anything, then my art can never really be rejected. How's that for 3D chess? Okay, so there's a little more to it than that. When I think about all that art I'm not doing, I feel a feeling so intense, so insidious and sinister, I could scarcely stand to think about it. I felt shame. And shame is a universal experience. We've all experienced it. And while everyone's shame is unique in some way, there are common beats to this tune. Shame is always this sense of, I am not enough. And that can be anything. I'm not thin enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not successful enough, or, in my case, not doing enough. And when you're not enough, what that really means is you feel like you're not enough to deserve human love and connection. After my last show, so many people came up to me to give me positive feedback. I got called charismatic and charming and witty, and it was all excruciating to take in, because deep down, I didn't really feel like I deserved those compliments. Even though I just literally did a show, all I could think about was why I haven't done more, or promoted myself more, or spent more time doing comedy research, etc. Not doing enough was the Trojan horse of not being enough. But shame is never that easy to explain away. I'm gonna be really hecking vulnerable with you for a moment, and tell you about some of the earliest shame that came up in my life. Okay, let me set the stage. The year is 2000. Everyone thinks we're entering a century of general prosperity. The towers are still standing, the best generation of Pokemon just came out in North America, and I was in 4th grade. There was a school play I had auditioned for. Something about ancient Greece, I can't really remember. And I had earned a big role for myself as some kind of priest. Now at this point, drama class was really the only thing I ever got good grades in, because I just really enjoyed acting, and like any child finding something they like, I was proud of my small but growing skill set as an actor. So I rehearsed the shit out of this role. I am on top of my game. I was the Daniel Day-Lewis of Canadian elementary school students. Or so I was in my head, anyway. And I'm actually really excited. Remember when I said drama was the only class I got good grades in? Well, my parents were always hypercritical of my bad grades. Like, I got an F in art class once because I never knew where to turn in my assignments, so I just stuffed them into random drawers and hoped the teacher got them. And my dad got so mad over that F, which was weird because he never really cared about nurturing my creative tendencies. Anyway, this play was my chance to show dear old dad that I was capable of being really good at something. So, night comes around, and my dad walks me to the school gymnasium where they were performing the play. I get set up backstage, and I remember feeling really nervous because all the other kids' parents made way better costumes for them. I was supposed to be in a toga, so my mom just cut a hole in a sheet and sent me off looking like a hatless Klansman. But I knew my material inside out, and I knew I was going to kill it. My part rolls around, I get on stage, and I pour my little thespian heart out. And partway through, I looked to the chair where I saw my dad earlier, and he wasn't there. It was just an empty chair, like the one Clint Eastwood yelled at during the Republican National Convention. The play ends. We line up for our encore. Dad is still not there, and I walk home alone. I find my dad at home. He's on the couch watching TV, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, where were you?" And you know what he said? He said he got bored and went home, which, okay, fine, it probably was an extremely boring play. But you don't say that to your kid. That was my big moment. And he didn't care at all. He rejected my art. So why did I tell you all that? Because shame is a feeling that does not want to be seen. Because the only cure for shame is being vulnerable with other people, even if that means risking being rejected. I was watching this movie the other day called Mississippi Grind. It's about these gambling addicts and their cross-country trip. There's a scene where Ben Mendelsohn's character has lost all the money that his friend had given him. And he keeps trying to convince his friend, "Just give me a little more money, man. I can win it all back." And he keeps trying to talk up how good he is at gambling, but it's incredibly transparent that he cannot get that money back. And I remember watching this and feeling visceral cringe. This character was a loser and everyone knew it. And he knew that they knew. And he kept trying to act like everything was alright, but it wasn't alright. And that's how I feel sometimes. I worry that people can see how small and insignificant my life is. And that even if I try to hide it, it's so obvious that I would just be making a fool of myself. The thing with shame is that it disconnects us from others. Human beings are meant to connect to one another, to build bonds and relationships. The reason why I'm talking about shame right now is because I am sick of being afraid and of being isolated from other people. If you are listening to this right now, I want to tell you that you are worthy of being loved and you are worthy of belonging. Listen, there's so much that I feel ashamed about that I haven't talked about yet. There's so many ways I feel inadequate. I wish I was prettier, I wish I was thinner, I wish my art was better, etc. Because if I was hypothetically perfect, then no one could reject me. But when you go through life looking for confirmation that you aren't good enough, or that you don't belong, then you will always find it. Shame is a fundamentally lonely and isolating feeling, but real art is vulnerability, and vulnerability is connection. If I can make art about loneliness, then I've taken something that exists only in my mind, and I can turn it into a shared experience, an opportunity to connect directly to other people. And that's what life is, a connection to one another. As long as I'm alive, I'm gonna keep making art that says, "Here I am, universe. I'm scared and imperfect, but I will not be ashamed."